This is Doug Woodward welcoming you to the 27th Australian Grand Prix held at Warwick Farm in Sydney, Australia. The race over 45 laps and 101.25 miles of the 2.25 mile circuit. This is the circuit as we look down Hume Straight, going down the long straight, the longest straight on the circuit, and going right down to the Creek Corner. There is the Creek Corner, and then for just a moment or two we lose the cars as they go through the trees and come out through the S's, and then come around the bends to make their approach over the northern crossing. This is one of the two crossings where the road racing circuit crosses the horse racing track. And then down to the turn and the crossing at the causeway. From the causeway there is a rather sharp left-hand turn, and this turn on straightening up takes the cars down to Polo Corner. After negotiating Polo Corner, there is a straight and then a gradual approach to the Ledger Corner. Ledger Corner on the circuit is at the top of Pitt Straight, and the straight, although not very long, gives the cars enough time to straighten up and reach the finishing line at very fast speed. There is Ledger Corner, and here we see the cars now on the grid in their positions after having their warm-up lap and getting ready to start this 27th Australian Grand Prix. A very large crowd here, again, to witness the Grand Prix, which is to be run in brilliant sunshine and hot conditions. Well, now on the grid, these are the cars and these are their positions. Car 2 has the pole position, which is John Surtees, and John Surtees driving for the Bowmaker Racing Team, representing the United Kingdom, will be driving a Lola Climax. In the second position on the front row of the grid is car 10, the car with the cover over at the moment, to be driven by Bruce McLaren of New Zealand in a Cooper Climax. Car 5, the other car on the front row, and the third position is David Mackay of Australia, racing for Scuderia Veloce and driving one of the three Repco Brabham Climax cars in the race today. And this, incidentally, is the first time that three Brabham Climax cars have been in a Grand Prix at the one time. On the second line, we have Tony Maggs in fourth position from South Africa, and he is driving a Lola Climax for the Bowmaker Racing Team. Car 14 is Chris Amon of New Zealand in the fifth position, driving a Cooper Climax also for the Bowmaker Racing Team. Number 18, number 8 there in the centre, is Lex Davison of Australia on the third line, and with him is Frank Matic of Australia, and then Graham Hill in car 1. We can just see his car there, the present world champion. Graham Hill driving for the RRC Walker Racing Team of the United Kingdom in the Ferguson Climax. On the fourth line, in ninth position, is car 15, John Yule of Australia in a Cooper Climax, and next to him Leo Gagan, also of Australia, in car 17. Leo Gagan will be driving a Lotus 20B Ford and driving for the Total team. On the fifth line, Bib Stillwell of Australia in car 11, I beg your pardon, in car 6. Bib Stillwell of Australia in a Repco Brabham Climax. Next to him, Tony Shelley of New Zealand in car 16, representing Independent Motors in a Lotus Climax. and Jim Palmer, also of New Zealand, in car 12 for the Bowmaker Racing Team in a Cooper Climax. The sixth line, we have Jack Brabham in car 4. Jack Brabham driving his own Ripco Brabham Climax. In car 4, he will take up the position. He is not as yet on the grid in that position. And next to him will be Bob Holden in car 19 in a Lynx Peugeot, representing the Kalara Motor Garage. And then in the back line, we have Frank Gardner in car 11 in the 16th position. Jack Brabham in car 4 just taking up his position, and just next to him in car 19 is Bob Holden. We only have 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go for the start, and we're all set to go for this 27th Australian Grand Prix. In this magnificent setting here, we're ready for the start with just 45 seconds to go as pit crews get ready to leave the grid area. The drivers ready now to get up their positions and to vie for the lead in this very important first few laps. There on the front row, John Surtees, Bruce McLaren next to him in car 10. John Surtees in car 2 in the pole position. 15 seconds to go. Then 5 seconds to go. And they're away. It looks as though David Mackay got a very good start in car 5. And it will be interesting now to pick them up as they go into the first corner, getting through to Homestead. And it looks as though it's John Surtees in the lead as they come to the Hume Straight for the first time. John Surtees in the lead, leading Bruce McLaren and David Mackay. And now as they go down Hume Straight for the first time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Bill Reynolds, who will be here to give comments during the afternoon, together with Sterling Moss, on this Australian Grand Prix.
And thank you, Doug. Frank Gardner, unfortunately, left at the start. Don't know what the trouble is, but some very sensational times bound to come up in this race, with John Surtees still in the lead, and David Mackay in second place, very closely pursued by Bruce McLaren.
John Surtees now making the approach to Ledger Corner, going around Ledger Corner and coming down now pit straight. The end of the first lap with John Surtees in the lead in car 2. David Mackay in second position. And for the first lap, the unofficial time for the first lap, 1 minute and 43 seconds.
Certainly the conditions on the track look a little bit difficult because John Surtees showed a little bit of tail wag coming out of Ledger Corner there, but now he is seen streaking down Hume Straight where speeds of well over 100 miles an hour reach. This, of course, is the longest straight on the course and is finished off by a very tight hairpin corner, a right-hander called Creek Corner. You can just see them coming up now through the S's. Terrific acceleration necessary in this portion. And here is John Surtees still in the lead. Coming now across the Northern Crossing, which is the artificial crossing made so that the racing track can satisfactorily cross the horse racing track. approaching now this very beautiful causeway.
Well, that's the second lap over, and John Surtees is still holding his lead. 16 going through now is Tony Shelley of New Zealand. But it's still John Surtees. There he goes down Hume Straight now, on his way down to Creek Corner, where the very tight bend is down there, and to make his way then through the S's. John Surtees still in the lead, and a handy one too.
There was a change of position in the last lap where David Mackay was running second, but has since been passed by Bruce McLaren of New Zealand in car number 10. Here comes the leader, John Surtees, approaching the northern crossing, and has established quite a handy lead over the second place. There's the northern crossing again with Bruce McLaren just coming over, followed closely by David Mackay.
Just received news that Bruce McLaren spun out but is back in the race. Bruce McLaren in car 10 spun out but is back in the race. Car 12 then was Jim Palmer. There's Jim Palmer from New Zealand in car 12, negotiating Polo Corner, and now makes his way down to Ledger Corner. Along that straight as he goes to Ledger.
And a good view there of the whole field coming through the S's. We follow them now to the northern crossing.
There's the Australian Jack Brabham, the former world champion. Brabham going down to Polo Corner, blowing a little smoke there, along the straight and now down to Ledger Corner. We've had 4 laps of the race gone, and it's still John Surtees in the lead.
Driving by Jack Brabham, who started almost at the back of the grid. He's now in third position with John Surtees in the lead, David Mackay in second place, and Jack Brabham third. This is the first time out for Jack Brabham's new car here in Australia, and he had all the difficulty in the world in getting this car to the track in time, and had a night of a great deal of worrying work before he could get the car here in time for the race this morning. But undoubtedly he must have found quite a lot of horses, because he made up this position from the rear of the grid in remarkably quick time.
4 laps of the race. They're now in the 5th lap, and it's still John Surtees of the United Kingdom in his Lola Climax still in the lead. Coming over the northern crossing. There's Jack Brabham again, just over the northern crossing and going down now to the causeway.
Beautiful line there by Mackay through Polo, hotly pursued by Jack Brabham. Both of them, of course, driving Brabham Climax. Would be most welcome for Jack Brabham to finish in this event. Would give him world recognition of his newly designed vehicle. Here comes now then David Mackay down pit straight in the paddock bend. Goes through a slight S here across the western crossing. This is the second of the crossings over the horse track down to Homestead Corner. A right-hander there down the fastest part of the track, which is Hume Straight.
Jack Brabham was just unofficially timed at 1:44.2. The record is 1:37.5, held by Bruce McLaren of New Zealand. So you can see that the time so far by most of the drivers are particularly slow at this early stage of the race. 1:44.2 to Jack Brabham, which is almost 7 seconds slower than the record.
There could, Doug, be quite possibly some tactical business going on here, because John Surtees, in achieving pole position on the grid for today's race, yesterday was timed at 1:38.9 seconds. And has, of course, nowhere approached that time today. There is John Surtees, round Polo, accelerating like a streak up to Ledger Corner. Most beautiful line on these corners. Technically, an absolute master of the vehicle that he drives. Four-wheel drifting very nicely. Just takes a touch of grass there. And there's no doubt that his experience as a world champion motorcyclist stands him in very good stead in Grand Prix car racing.
John Surtees still with this comfortable lead in the early stages. So far, of the 16 starters, there are 15 still in. Of course, Frank Gardner did not start, so 15 of them are still in. And we've had 6 laps of the race with John Surtees in car 2 having a 9-second lead over David Mackay, and just 1 second further back to him is Jack Brabham in car 4, and then Tony Maggs in car 3 is in 4th position, 4 seconds behind Jack Brabham. After 15 laps, the positions still unchanged in the 4 leaders anyway. We still have John Surtees in the lead in car 2. Jack Brabham is still in second position in 4, and in car 5, John Mackay in 3rd place. 4th position is still Bruce McLaren in car 10. Tony Maggs is still 5th in car 3. And Bibb Stillwell in 6th position, still in car 6. The leading 6 cars still unchanged in their position after 15 laps. That means we have exactly 30 laps to go.
There goes David Mackay, having just negotiated paddock. Goes to the western crossing. Very nice line round this. And away round Homestead down Hume Straight.
Well, now, with the official times, we have another interesting little story working out here, that both John Surtees and Jack Brabham have increased their times considerably, particularly Jack Brabham, after going back to a 1:44, has got down now to a 1:41.7, and John Surtees is lapping at 1:41.2.
Tactics might begin to work out very shortly, with Brabham cutting down his lap times. And there goes Jack Brabham, a beautiful line across the causeway, up the short straight to Polo Bend, and there David Mackay, third position in the race, also in about Brabham. Now negotiating Polo. And Bruce McLaren very hard on David Mackay's heels. He also seems to be making up a little ground as they approach Ledger Corner. Bruce working quite hard there to get a nice line. And there comes Bruce McLaren down pit straight.
Well, we just had official news that Jack Brabham has got the fastest lap so far, increased it now in the 15th lap to 1:40.7, the fastest lap so far, and has brought his time down to just 13 3/10 behind John Surtees. John Surtees got away to about 15 seconds in the lead, and now he's close to 13 3/10, and in the fastest lap time so far of 1:40.7, with Surtees still remaining at about 1:41.5.
John Surtees coming off the causeway. Beautiful line all the time. Followed by Jack Brabham in the camera now. Pushing it very hard indeed. Third man, David Mackay. There goes Bruce McLaren round Polo Corner, accelerating up the short straight to Ledger once again.
And now to give us his version of the race at this stage, here is Sterling Moss.
Well, thanks very much. The one thing that stands out to me is that there has been quite a lot of oil on the circuit. I can't see it because I'm not driving, but there has been, because all the times are slower than one might expect, because, I presume, because of oil. Now, the speed is getting faster, therefore the oil is drying, or at least clearing up, and at this moment, Jack Brabham is a fair distance behind John Surtees. Actually, he's, well, doing a mental calculation, about 12 or 13 seconds, but he is going a little faster. Jack Brabham has just lapped at 1:40.3. John Surtees has been doing a consistent 1:41 and the odd fifth or 10th of a second. And Bruce McLaren also is going fairly fast now. He's doing 1:41.7 was the last lap that I got on him. David Mackay is, I think, upholding the side very well here. He's doing 1:42, which may not sound much, but it's pretty fast under the conditions. And then Tony Maggs has done 1:42.9, but has dropped a little bit just recently. That's the last lap. Now, of course, to really get a close picture on these drivers, one needs to be out there, in which case you can't sort of pass any news over to the people who are doing the commentary. But reading it from the side, you would need to use a watch, and reading the watch, it does appear that the oil is getting less because everybody's time is decreasing a little bit. Now, it seems to me that John Surtees is, barring problems, unassailably in the lead, although Jack Brabham is making quite an effort and is perhaps closing a little bit, but I don't believe that he has much chance of closing up the sort of gap there is between them. There's an interesting dice between Bruce McLaren and David Mackay, although they're not particularly together, but I think that will most likely close up, and they will be closer together. And then, of course, Tony Maggs may come into the picture in that fight. It's a little bit too early to say.
And the leader is spun, but recovered himself wonderfully. John Surtees, terrific spin, coming off the causeway on the short straight, but did a complete circle and took off again.
Well, that changes the picture a bit, doesn't it? I don't know at this moment whether he is in the lead or not. I'll try and find out as they come past. But I'd rather doubt, actually. No, I don't think Jack has caught him. He's certainly narrowed his lead. No, he hasn't caught him. John Surtees has just gone past us, and Jack Brabham is, of course, coming along pretty fast. Past us now. Now, that is just in front of me here. Now, I didn't actually get an exact time, but I'm guessing now. I should think it's, what, 5 seconds? Something pretty small anyway, like that. That has cut the lead. Now, this, of course, can happen again. Same as a gearbox may give trouble. So we're still in for, I think, a very exciting race. Because not only has Jack caught him up, but of course the rest of the people must have done the same. So in other words, John Surtees' lead has dwindled. Not necessarily to a position where he won't win. This is too early to say. So you better at least stay tuned to find out. I'm not leaving anyway. Graham Hill is still circulating, but for those that are interested, I did find out that he did have a lot of work done last night, including changing the exhaust pipes. Like Jack Brabham to me. It is Jack, actually. I can even read his number. Jack's in quite a hurry. John Surtees has just gone past me, and I will now try to give you the latest position. Jack Brabham has just gone by, and he is about 7 seconds behind John Surtees. Now, that's quite a lot to make up, but it is not an unassailable lead. I think you'll find that he will keep pressure on, hoping that maybe he will either catch up or John may spin off again. Who knows? Seemed to me a lot of people around the circuit today enjoying the sunshine and the racing, I hope. Actually, I've taken a time on John Surtees, which I will give you as soon as I can verify it. Well, not verify its officialness, but verify it on my watch, and we'll get an idea as to how bad the circuit is and how much he is trying. John Surtees apparently has officially done the fastest lap at 1 minute 40.2. Now, it's interesting to note that Bruce McLaren holds the lap record here, official lap record, done during a race at 1:38.5. And that may not sound much of a difference, but I can assure you it is. There's no doubt that the boys here today will be trying to beat it in trying to win the race. And it usually goes to a man who is not leading. In other words, a man who's trying hard at the back to catch up the man in front of him. Or in second position, for that matter. Now, John Surtees has just gone by, and I made his lap that time 41.8. I reckon that Jack's under 5 seconds behind Bruce, but this is again unofficial. In other words, I would think that Jack Brabham is just about to take away John Surtees' fastest lap. In case you can't remember, the fastest lap in practice was John Surtees, under 1 minute 39. Quite a few did under 1 minute 40. so far we haven't got down to that.
Well, now we've had 21 laps of the race gone. We'll hear from Stirling Moss later on during the race, and also he will give his summary at the end of the race. And after 21 laps, now that will give you an idea how much Jack Brabham has caught up on John Surtees after he had that spin. But as Bill Reynolds told you, it was a wonderful recovery, and this will now make the race very, very interesting.
Certainly reminded me of a fabulous speedway effort, that controlled slide of John Surtees, who, without any loss of time at all, other than the time it took him to spin, was pointed in the right direction and off again. There has been a change in positions now, where Bruce McLaren has passed David Mackay. There's Brabham streaking away down Hume Straight, really going very hard indeed. He's doing his very best to catch the Flying Englishman, John Surtees, and the race is developing more interestingly all the time.
Now, officially, we have John Surtees lapping at 1:41.8, Jack Brabham at 1:41.7, and just 6.1 seconds between these two, and then a further 16.6 seconds back to David Mackay in the third position. But a most interesting tussle now with the race as it draws near to halfway. But Jack Brabham now negotiating Polo Corner and just 6.1 seconds behind John Surtees.
There's Jack Brabham going up to Ledger Corner. Going around there really quickly. He's really trying, just out in the dirt there. Any danger at all of losing control. There he goes down paddock, taking quite a wide line in so that he can get a close line through the second of the S's before he gets down to Homestead Corner. Quite bumpy across the crossing yet. There he is on the right hand of Homestead, and Jack Brabham doing his very best to catch John Surtees as he flies down Hume Straight.
It is wonderful to see in a race over a distance of 45 laps such as this that the interest is maintaining all the time, particularly with these two. It is reminiscent of this international race that was held here last year and won by Stirling Moss, because in the first 21 laps of that race it was a wonderful tussle between Stirling Moss and Jack Brabham. And now we see the same thing again this year between John Surtees and Jack Brabham. And there's John Surtees, the leader.
John Surtees. And very closely followed by Jack Brabham, using up all the track and apparently driving to his limit. Very fast dice around Polo Corner, very fast acceleration up the short straight to Ledger, and there's somebody spun. That's car number 8.
Looks like Lex Davison having the spin there on the corner. Lex Davison, there he is. He's quite okay, though, signalling that he's quite okay. Lex Davison in the Cooper Climax car 8. Well, now, after 23 laps, we're in the second half of the race now, and the positions are still unchanged, with John Surtees in car 2 leading Jack Brabham in car 4 by about 6 seconds, and then about another 16 or 18 seconds it is now back to Bruce McLaren in car 10. and then David Mackay in 4th position in the car 5.
In spite of the extreme heat, remarkably few mechanical failures. Most of the field still circulating very well. And there's Graham Hill in the four-wheel drive Ferguson as he negotiates Ledger Corner. Coming very fast down pit straight. Somewhat different line, you'll notice, round paddock to the rear-wheel drive machines.
Officially, John Surtees is lapping at 1:42.6 now, a little slower than before. He did step up the rate, but Jack Brabham has shortened the gap of between them of only 5.2 seconds. That is the closest they've been since the start. 5.2 seconds between John Surtees there in car 2 and Jack Brabham in the car 4, who is lapping at 1:42.3. So far he is lapping at 0.3 of a second faster than John Surtees. Well, Sterling Moss has just come over here and said to us that, in his opinion, John Surtees will be out within a couple of laps. And Sterling, maybe you would like to elaborate a little more on that.
Yes, I reckon that John has some sort of trouble. His lap time has definitely dropped. Not that much, but it has dropped. He did 1:43.2, whereas before, you may remember, he was in the very early 40s, or sort of 1:40 point something. And his last lap, which I'm just working out, has been 43.6, 1:43.6. At the same time, exactly at the same time, or more or less. More or less at the same time, Jack Brabham did 1:41.8. In other words, the track has still got the bit of oil that I was mentioning on it, I should think, but John Surtees has dropped a couple of seconds, or Jack's caught up a couple if you like, but I wouldn't be surprised if John Surtees has some sort of trouble, maybe gearbox or slipping clutch or something. I wouldn't like to guess what it was.
Well, that was Sterling Moss giving us his opinion on how John Surtees is going at the moment, and if what Sterling Moss says turns out to be correct, well, that would then leave Jack Brabham in the lead, and possibly he could get his wish of winning a race here at Warwick Farm. But of course we will have to wait till the race is over to find that out. And after 26 laps, John Surtees only leading Jack Brabham now by 2 seconds, leading by 2 seconds after 26 laps.
That is, of course, a very, very close result indeed. And whilst we feel that our crowd here is extremely impartial, there's nothing better they would like than to see the local boy, Jack Brabham, of course, comes from Sydney, win this very big event here. Now we're at the Northern Crossing. With John Surtees on the causeway. Developing here with Jack Brabham closing up the gap on John Surtees little by little. Not very much in it at all now. Surtees streaking up to Ledger. Jack possibly a little bit faster through here. Still takes that beautiful line with just about 6 inches of dust off the edge of the track every time. There he is. Round paddock corner, both of them quite safely.
And there's no doubt about this race, as each lap is going by now, is developing into a great and titanic struggle between these two. The question is, can John Surtees maintain this lead? And also, can Jack Brabham just make up this very short gap between them, as you can see now as they go down through Creek Corner and over through to the S's. Certainly building up into a great, exciting finish as we get into the second half of the race, with these two still in the lead, been in the lead all the time, right from the word go. And Surtees winning the start from the pole position. But there they are together, Surtees in car 2 in the lead, and Jack Brabham just those few yards behind in car 4.
Close up on him now, really close up. Successfully negotiated both the Causeway and Polo, now going up to Ledger. Look at Jack close the gap there suddenly. There they both come round, beautifully controlled slides around Ledger, and right past us here, our vantage point, down into Paddock Bend.
Well, now after 28 laps, the positions, the leading 3 or leading 4, still unchanged. Tony Maggs in car 3 has dropped back, and Bibb Stillwell has come up one position into 5th place. So it's still John Surtees, Jack Brabham, Bruce McLaren, David Mackay, Bibb Stillwell, and Graham Hill. They are the leading 6 cars at this stage. But of course the interest remains with these two, John Surtees and Jack Brabham. Brabham only a second behind him now, possibly even less than that. There they are, out through the S's. It's 0.4 of a second officially after 29 laps. 0.4 of a second Brabham behind Surtees. And so the interest is really building up into a tense struggle between these two.
Jack Brabham seemingly having a slightly better line coming out of Causeway up to Polo than did John Surtees, and there he is close up on him. But Surtees having a little more acceleration up the short straight from Polo to Ledger. Here they are both now negotiating Ledger. Once again, Jack a little bit steadier line, though using more track. They're absolutely nose to tail. A beautiful, exciting race.
Well, there's no need to give you any official times now, how far they are apart, because it's quite obvious. You can see that it's only a matter of a feet now, with these two having a straight battle. They're now on the 30th lap, 15 laps to go, and so anything can still happen with these two great drivers vying for the lead. It looks like Brabham has got him, trying to pass him as they get him down to Creek Corner. He could have passed him. We'll have to wait and see how they get on. Have to wait and see how they get on as they come out of the S's. Brabham could be in the lead. He could have taken him there right at the bottom at Creek Corner. Yes, Brabham has taken him, and Brabham has hit the front in the 30th lap.
And certainly a beautiful effort, a wonderful piece of driving on the part of Jack Brabham, who apparently had some speed up his sleeve because he fairly flew past Surtees going down Hume Straight, and apparently had not used that little extra bit. But here he is now. The new leader, Jack Brabham, up the short straight from Polo to Ledger, and seemingly increasing his distance very rapidly from John Surtees. Apparently he's tried that motor out and found all the speed at once. Dashing down this straight now into Paddock Bend. A nice wide line through the corner, rapidly pulled up to take the slight left-hander to go across the western crossing, and there he just blips momentarily to take Homestead and off down Hume Straight, really travelling faster than we've seen anybody else down the straight in this event.
Well, they're now in the 31st lap, and Jack Brabham now the new leader. Been a tremendous race for these 30 laps. Absolutely thrilling, this huge crowd here this afternoon, and of course naturally they are very partisan, because Jack Brabham is a great favourite.
Yes, like there was certainly a tremendous roar from the crowd as Jack Brabham took the lead. John Surtees still well in the fight, doing his very best to peg back Jack Brabham. Here goes Brabham. Beautiful approach. There is round edges, still that same 6 inches of dirt. Very hotly pursued by John Surtees. Both of them very quick round paddock and on towards Homestead.
Well, now here's Stirling Moss with another few words, and I'm sure of great interest to you.
Well, this is again unofficial. I reckon that Jack Brabham has broken the lap record, or at least today's fastest lap. I had him at 39.5, 1 minute 39.5. John Surtees is doing 1 minute 42 and is obviously in some sort of trouble. It is not, as far as I can see, engine. It might be gearbox or something else. But it isn't engine as far as it appears, which of course is from a long distance on. And those are the two things that are relevant as far as I'm concerned. I think you'll find it will be official that Jack has got the fastest lap of the day up till now.
Well, that was Stirling Moss, and his prediction was correct, as it turned out, when he told us a few laps back that he thought that there was something wrong with John Surtees, the car, and that Jack Brabham would soon take the lead, and that is the way things have found out. So there is Jack Brabham leading now.
However, in spite of any troubles he might have, John Surtees is apparently still well in the event. He must have cut down his lap time a little, because he's still within firing distance of Jack Brabham, who undoubtedly has cut his lap time.
And this too has not been a happy hunting ground for Jack Brabham in the past. As I did mention earlier, it's always been an ambition of Jack Brabham's to win a race here at Warwick Farm. He's never been able to do so, and in the past he has had bad luck with his cars. Last year, after that wonderful tussle with Stirling Moss, he had to pull out with gearbox trouble.
And in talking to Jack Brabham this morning, before the start of the event, he was telling me the troubles that he had to get his car off the ship in Melbourne 2 days ago only, Melbourne being 600 miles away from Sydney. He had quite a job of transport to get the car up here. Worked all night to iron out the last few bugs in the brand new car, and we discussed the fact that mostly when one has these troubles, the thing turns out all right in the end. Well, let's hope that it does for Jack, and he's put up a wonderful performance up to date. And here he is, approaching the causeway.
This race is still a long way from being over, and still there could be anything happen. There is the world champion Graham Hill in the very revolutionary Ferguson Climax, and he is making just rounded there Ledger Corner and coming down that pit straight. Tony Maggs has been forced out of the race in car 3. And Jack Brabham's lap time, his official lap time now, the fastest lap so far today, of 1:40.4. and I think Sterling Moss would like to say a few more words.
I've only got a word to say, and that appears that John Surtees' problem is lessened a fraction because he seems to be holding Jack Brabham. In fact, I think he got a tenth of a second back. Jack did 1 minute 42, and as far as I could see, John did about 1 minute 41.9. Anyway, it's that close.
Very shortly we'll have for you the official lap that the drivers are in at the moment, but it must be getting to within about 10 laps to go.
And Jack Brabham and John Surtees driving so tight together with string. Jack unable, or possibly feels it's not necessary to increase his lead, but just to keep John Surtees within his sights, and Surtees may or may not have sufficient power to go ahead. And there's no to let Jack Brabham pass down the pit straight there, and there he goes around the paddock bend. Over the western crossing, a little bit bumpy there, and the right-hander Homestead onto Hume Straight.
Well, we've had 33 laps of the race gone. That means 12 to go, and the position still Jack Brabham in the lead in car 4, John Surtees in car 2 in second position, and then Bruce McLaren in third place in car 10. In fourth is David Mackay in car 5, and in fifth position Bibb Stillwell in car 6. So, and these incidentally are the only cars on the same lap, and in those first 5 placings, a very interesting point is that we have the 3 Brabham Climax cars in the first 5 placings so far.
Now that's a very wonderful effort, Doug, and not only will we be pleased to see it, but naturally Jack Brabham will be most proud of this very fine effort. And out of those placings, 4 are Australian drivers. There goes Jack Brabham round Polo, closely followed still by John Surtees. May have made 5 or 10 yards on John's particular lap.
As I'm sure you can see, Jack is very slightly increasing his lead. It was 2.6 seconds just now, but what interests me is to see whether John Surtees is trying to sit there to challenge him at the end. I think that John is holding on. Whether he's holding on, whether he's hanging on to have a go just at the end, or if he's just hanging on by just sort of grim determination or not, only time will tell.
Well, now we have the official times for the laps after on the 33rd lap, and Jack Brabham is lapping at 1:41.6, and John Surtees is lapping 0.6 of a second faster at 1:41, and just 2.1 seconds between those two.
And Bruce McLaren about to overtake another competitor as he turns Homestead to go down Hume Straight.
Now in the 34th lap, John Surtees is still getting faster lap times than Jack Brabham. Jack Brabham now reduced his time in the 34th to 1:40.6, and just 1.7 seconds ahead of John Surtees at 1:40.2. So these two, for 34 laps, have had a great dice.
That was went very fast over the causeway, still in third spot, and he accelerates up the short straight between Polo and Ledger Corners. Very cool, calm, and relaxed driver. Beautiful line around Ledger Corner. There he goes down pit straight and into Paddock Bend. Quite a tricky one, this, as you come out into a rather sudden left-hander there, which is an S, and crossing, which is a bit bumpy, and the right-hander homestead, which leads down him straight.
There's the leader, Jack Brabham, coming to the causeway. John Surtees looks as though he has dropped back a little behind Brabham, just overtaking one of the cars there, but he has dropped back a little on this lap. Brabham still leading, Surtees now still in second position.
It would appear, Doug, that Surtees was a little bit unlucky on the last couple of bends in getting mixed up with the traffic, but shouldn't make any difference to the ultimate result.
Bruce McLaren just going over the causeway there. Bruce McLaren was third in the World Motor Racing Championship for 1962, finishing behind Graham Hill and Jim Clark. Bruce McLaren of New Zealand, now the number one official works driver for Cooper Climax. Well, now we come over to the Northern Crossing again. And this is one of those two crossings where the circuit crosses the horse racing track. Jack Brabham taking the lead and coming down now to take the causeway crossing. Well, we thought that John Surtees had dropped back a little bit, and after on the 36th lap, the official time, Jack Brabham lapping at 1:40.3, increased his lead now to 2.9 seconds ahead of John Surtees on 1:41.5. And we just have 7 laps to go in the race, with Jack Brabham having overtaken his Australian teammate, Bev Stillwell. And the positions of the car with 7 laps to go. Jack Brabham in car 4 leading John Surtees in car 2, with Bruce McLaren in car 10 in 3rd position, and David Mackay in car 5 in 4th place.
There's David Mackay in one of the Brabham Climax cars, still well in the race in 4th place. And here he is accelerating down pit straight, going into Paddock Bend. Wonderful thing for Jack Brabham that all 3 Brabhams are still in the event and are in the first 6 placings.
Final few laps. John Surtees still in the 2nd position in car 2. John Surtees there in car 2 in 2nd place. The early leader led for 30 laps, and then Brabham got the lead right down at Creek Corner. Third place getter about 34 seconds behind the leading two, Bruce McLaren of New Zealand.
It's quite an unusual thing to see three different makes of cars in the places in such a race as this. We have Jack Brabham in the lead in the Brabham Climax, John Surtees in the Lola Climax, and in third place at this moment is the Cooper Climax of Bruce McLaren.
David Mackay in car 5 still holding fourth place. Jack Brabham, the leader, just going down the Lola corner again.
Certainly with a very clear-cut lead now. He must be cutting down his lap time again, and it is to be hoped that he will make a very fine effort in the last couple of laps, possibly to break the lap record. There he comes up the corner there at Ledger, really accelerating hard into Paddock Bend. Nice, beautiful line, the same one every time. Here is perfection in driving that we really enjoy seeing when the international stars come out here to Australia.
Well, we have 4 laps to go now. 4 laps. We've completed 41 laps. 4 laps of this 101 1/4 miles, 27th Australian Grand Prix. And we'll have to just watch very closely now. Watch these cars because with just so few laps to go, we'll have to try and make sure we follow Jack Brabham for you on the last lap. Jack Brabham and John Surtees are both of them together.
There they go, the two of them having passed over the northern crossing. There's Jack Brabham, just on causeway. And a beautifully safe line by Jack Brabham, who's enjoying this fresh air out in front. And there's John Surtees, still within striking distance as he rounds Polo Corner, accelerates up the short straight towards Ledger. Still not very much distance separating these two cars.
Jack Brabham has 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go, and so now has John Surtees, 3 laps to go. These are the leading two, have been right throughout the entire 42 laps so far. Third place to the causeway, Bruce McLaren. Bruce McLaren about half a lap behind these other two now, almost half a lap. A fair way behind them. In third position, Jack Brabham and John Surtees have about 2.5 laps to go. Bruce McLaren now with 3 laps to go. Here's the leader, Jack Brabham, in car 4. Brabham lapping at 1:40.2, keeping very consistent now. That equals the fastest time established earlier by Surtees in the 34th lap. That 1:40.2 equals the fastest time set by Surtees in the 34th lap. Brabham coming down now to Ledger Corner, and after he makes this turn to come down pit straight, we'll have just 2 laps to go.
There's Jack Brabham just passing Lex Davison as they come down pit straight. There's Jack Brabham with victory inside in car 4. over the western crossing. They pass through the right-hander Homestead onto Hume Straight. There we see him stringing away down that beautiful piece of straight track, which is as smooth as a billiard table.
There's no doubt about that this is going to be a most popular win. If, of course, we're assuming that Jack Brabham will conclude this race now without any trouble at all, and it certainly will be a very popular win indeed. He's a great champion here to the crowd, and I'm sure that he will certainly be thrilled. Coming now to the northern crossing and having a little over 1 lap to go.
Jack's thoughts at this time, knowing that he's got only 1 lap to go, 1 and a bit laps to go, just possibly wondering what could possibly rob him of this victory. But the way he's going, he's given a magnificent race from the back of the grid, which of course doesn't make the driving situation any easier for him. But there he is, perfectly calm and relaxed. Jack Brabham in car 4, the leader.
Well, there we are with the 2 times world champion in 1959 and 1960, Jack Brabham, on his final lap going down Hume Straight. And barring a last moment mechanical failure, this will be his race today. Jack Brabham now coming to the northern crossing. He hasn't very far to go now. Coming over the northern crossing for the last time. The crowd gathering excitedly and expectantly now, waiting to cheer Brabham as he comes down the straight. Jack Brabham into polo corner. Down now to Ledger Corner. Here he comes, getting ready. The crowd starting to cheer him already. Getting the flag. Jack Brabham first. Rocket you heard, that noise in the background was to signify the end of the race, with Jack Brabham first and John Surtees second, and Bruce McLaren. There's Bruce McLaren in car 10, who will be third.
Well, a tremendous effort on the part of Jack Brabham, who drove an extremely clever race. He allowed his car to settle down and weigh up the whole situation. Undoubtedly helped by efficient pit signalling, Jack successfully took John Surtees apparently just when he wanted to, and I'd say that he was driving well within the car's capabilities. And here comes Bruce McLaren over the finish line to take third place. Now, picture now, car number 5, the second of the Brabhams, third of the Brabhams rather, driven by David Mackay, who will finish comfortably in 4th place, taking Ledger Corner for the last time. Very beautifully driven the whole race. David Mackay adequately backed his leader. There he crosses the line to take 4th place.
Well, now Norman May is ready to talk with the winner, Jack Brabham, so it's over to Norman May.
Well, congratulations to you, Jack, on your first win at Warwick Farm.
Oh, thank you very much.
This is your second Australian Grand Prix, Jack. Is this a different sort of a car from your...
Yes.
Your
Yeah, it almost call this an Australian-made car, in fact. It's a car that we've built in England with one of my own organisations, built up by many Australians, such as Ron Tornak and Peter Wilkins, and quite a team of very good chaps over there. And since I've been here, I've had quite a flap, of course, and my mechanics have done a wonderful job preparing the car. They certainly haven't been to bed since the car arrived in Australia, which certainly wasn't very long ago, and it's certainly a wonderful pleasure to win here today.
What happened, Jack? You didn't even take part in the parade of drivers before the race.
Well, I'm afraid I was working on the car right up to the last minute, and it just wasn't possible to get out there just prior to the start of the race, and it's been like that ever since the car got here. It arrived by boat in Melbourne and then had to be flown up to Sydney, and it's certainly been a panic, but it was worth it.
You seemed to take it very easily in the first couple of minutes of the race.
Well, the car was very new, of course, and I virtually hadn't driven it very far, and had to, of course, run the car in.
Jack, it's a race starting, so wait on for a second. Well, even the Australian Grand Prix winner can't hold the program up here at Warwick Farm.
No, and it's certainly a very nice trophy too.
Yes, what do you think of it, Jack?
Wonderful, actually. It's been an ideal one for a mechanic, actually, but I know Stan very well, Stan Coffey, who presented the trophy, and it's certainly a credit to him to come to light with such a lovely trophy, and I'm very pleased to have won it.
There's a bit of coincidence in your win today, Jack. This is similar to your victory at Sandown last year when you beat John Surtees in a similar place.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Well, Jack, what about the future? You're coming back again to race at Warwick Farm?
Yes, I certainly am next year.
Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing you. Congratulations again. A great win, a very popular one for Australians.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Jack.
Tim, what was so special about Jack Brabham as a driver?
I think the special thing for Jack Brabham compared to his colleagues of the day, Stirling Moss and the likes, was that Jack was an engineer, understood the cars. I heard Stirling Moss recently talking about Brabham and saying Brabham could take an engine out of the car and rebuild it and put it back in, where Stirling probably wouldn't know how to even take the engine cover off to get to the engine. But he was, that was really his speciality, very good at setting up cars, understanding the engineering of race cars.
But how did that make him a faster driver?
Well, he was already fast, perhaps didn't make him a faster driver, but he was able to set his car up so it was easy to drive, and in doing that then you can be consistent, and you're not fighting the car, easier to drive. That took him right to the front of the field.
And I guess winning Formula Ones, did that make him something of a role model? Did that bring on a whole generation, inspire a generation of younger drivers?
Well, it certainly inspired a lot of Australians, inspired myself, and I think Alan Jones as well. Any leading sportsman inspires the young ones, so whether it's motor racing, golf, tennis, athletics. But he was certainly something special, Jack. Well, he still is. He's still going strong at 80-odd.
Well, let's take a look at this profile of the great man from ABC's Sports Classics series.
The story of Jack Brabham is a story of achievement. From a simple beginning in the suburbs of Sydney, he rose to great heights in the highly competitive world of international motor racing. As he grew up, he developed a keen interest in motor cars, not only in sitting behind the wheel and driving, but also in what makes them go. He began as a speedway driver and then graduated to road racing. By the mid-1950s, Brabham and his Cooper Bristol were a familiar part of the Australian motor scene. In 1956, he went to live in England as a Cooper Works driver, and in 1959, he returned to race in Australia. Only 15 years ago, this race at Orange clearly underlines the enormous gap which existed between the sport in Australia and international motor racing overseas.
Brabham leads Ted Gray around Brandy Corner, followed by Alex Mildren, number 4. There's a close race for fourth place between Len Lukey, number 5, and Arnold Glass, number 2. Werner Grieve leads Doug Whiteford, and Curly Bryden completes the leading group. This is a race over 100 miles, and the slower cars are beginning to fall behind. Here the tail enders are passing the pit area, while Jack Brabham takes the Cooper Climax around Brandy's in a perfect line. He encounters a new hazard on Total Straight when billowing smoke from a nearby fire is blown across the track. This doesn't affect Brabham as he steadily increases his lead. It's starting to rain, and Doug Whiteford in second place is a near casualty as he rounds Brandy's corner. Arnold Glass, number 2, is in third place, just ahead of Len Lukey, number 5. Brabham is content to maintain his lead over Doug Whiteford with half the race over. The pace has slowed down, and Brabham has dropped his maximum speed by 20 miles per hour when he travels down the mile-long straight. Doug Whiteford makes a desperate effort in the final laps, but Brabham is almost a minute ahead. He takes windsock and goes on down the straight to meet the checkered flag.
For Jack Brabham, 1959 was an outstanding year. The international motor racing season starts with the Monaco Grand Prix. In those days, Sterling Moss enjoyed a film star reputation, and he was the pre-race favourite. But Jack Brabham, the quiet Australian, who had never won an international Grand Prix, was destined to surprise the experts with his consistent performance. The course through the narrow, twisting streets of the Principality involves more than 2,000 gear changes, and it's a stiff test for both the driver and the car. Sterling Moss fails to complete the course, and Jack Brabham in the Cooper Climax records his first win in an international Grand Prix. The presentation by Princess Grace and Prince Rainier. By December, Jack Brabham is the leader in the World Drivers' Championship, and the United States Grand Prix at Sebring is the final race of the series. Only one other driver, Sterling Moss, has a chance of beating Brabham for the championship if he can win this race. In the early stages, it's Moss first, Brabham second. The Sebring course takes its toll of some of the lesser drivers, but the major interest is in the two leading cars. In the middle stages, Sterling Moss pulls out with mechanical trouble, and Jack Brabham, number 8, has only to complete the course to win the World Championship. Bruce McLaren, number 9, has moved into second place, and the race is dominated by the Cooper Works team. Brabham and McLaren speed towards the finish. It appears to be all over, but there's unexpected drama before the end. In the last lap, less than half a mile to go, Brabham runs out of petrol, and Bruce McLaren at 22 is the youngest driver ever to win an international Grand Prix. In an atmosphere of great excitement, Jack Brabham pushes his car across the line in fourth place to become the first Australian ever to win the World Championship.
Coming up the hill through the S's, it's Hill, Clark, Ginther, Stewart, and Bandini. Down the front straight to the far turn, Stewart gets by Ginther to take third place, 6 lengths behind Hill and Clark. In the back straight, the 18 Formula One racers scramble to improve their first lap position. At the end of lap 1, the leaders are Hill and Clark. Stewart's BRM number 4 is in third, and Bandini's Ferrari, Spence's Lotus, and Brabham and Gurney are grouped a few lengths behind the race leaders. Intermittent showers, and the lap times get slower for Hill, as well as for the group of challengers. Right together in second, third, and fourth are Gurney in Brabham number 8, Bandini's Ferrari, and Brabham's number 7. Graham Hill is still well in the lead, but a new threat is in the making. After teammate Gurney's unsuccessful challenge, Jack Brabham has decided to make his move. He closes on the number 8 car, and in the front straight overtakes Gurney and has the second place as they go into the far turn. But the Brabham car is rapidly closing the gap, and it seems certain that Hill will be caught on this lap or the next one. Now Brabham is right on the BRM stack. And in the pit straight, Brabham makes his move to take over the lead. But Brabham pushes it too hard in the hairpin, goes off the track, and Hill regains the lead with Gurney right behind him. After his brief moment of glory, less than a full lap as race leader, Brabham now must settle for a distant third place. There's no chance for Gurney now, and Hill takes the checkered flag 12 seconds ahead of his challenger.
Jack Brabham is now the world's largest manufacturer of racing cars, as well as the only driver manufacturer in the world today. He sells between 80 and 100 racing cars a year. He sells them because they're relatively simple, they handle well, and they have a reputation for winning. Some of the world's foremost drivers are amongst his customers. And in one recent European race, 19 cars of the 29 starters were Brabhams. Jack Brabham operates from England because he says Europe is the centre and the hub of Grand Prix racing. But the brains behind his racing cars, the designers, the equipment, and most of the 30 racing mechanics are Australians. The engines are built in Melbourne by Repco and flown to England. There, when the cars are assembled, they're tested on the circuit. Brabham makes the trip to the circuit in his own plane, which he uses to fly around Europe. He's equally confident in the air or on the road. Brabham's association with Repco began in 1957 when the Australian company supplied universal joints and drive shafts for the Cooper he was then driving. After that, Brabham made increasing use of Australian components in his cars. And in 1964, he suggested that it should not be beyond Repco to build a complete racing engine. The company agreed to take up the challenge as a research project. By now, the first Repco Brabham engine, the E1, was showing up well in the testing laboratory. At more than 8,000 revolutions a minute, it hardly gave a tremor. It was light enough to go into Brabham's existing cars and could easily be converted from 2.5 to 3 litres. 2.5 years after the project started, Repco, rather to its astonishment, finds that it's the world's leading manufacturer of Grand Prix racing engines. Their success with a Formula One engine, the most sophisticated production in the motor industry, has put Australian technology on the front pages of the world. Brabham attributes this success to having the right engine in the right car at the right time. Next year, the formula changes, and this engine, in its present form, will not be able to compete against the high-powered products of Ferrari and BRM.
And Jack Brabham makes a very good start. Graham Hill makes a bad one. And it's Jack Brabham on the inside as they go into paddock bend, just holding off the opposition. And Dan Gurney slipping into second place ahead of Danny Hume. And Graham Hill made a bad start and fell right back. But here's Jack Brabham in the lead now. Dan Gurney right in his tail, Danny Hume on his tail. Here's the lead which Jack Brabham has as they come into Hawthorne's Bend. And on the inside, going through past Dan Gurney, was Jochen Rindt up into second place. It's Jack Brabham ahead of Jochen Rindt and Dan Gurney. And then Jim Clark very close to Denny Hulme, but Jack Brabham's pulling well out through the dip of Dingle Dell, with Jochen Rindt, who went so very fast at Spa in the wet, moved up into second place on the Cooper Maserati. There he is, that's Jochen Rindt on the Cooper Maserati in second place and trying very hard to cash in as well as he can. Here's Jack Brabham and a close-up of the 3-litre V8 Repco engine based on a Buick developed in Australia, which is sending him on to what looks like his second Grand Épreuve victory on the trot. He currently leads the World Championship with a score of 12 points, and of course if he can pull this one off, this will put him into a very handsome lead over his closest pursuers. There's Denny Hulme on the second of the Brabhams, and here's the group coming through Druids, and Jack virtually coming up to lap third man in the race, but he won't make a great drama about that, although he has done so. He's steamed past Graham Hill on the bottom straight to lap him as he goes round on his last lap now. So it looks as if the two Brabhams of Jack Brabham and Denny Hulme are going to lap the rest of the field just to add an extra laurel to this tremendous victory of theirs. If ever a driver created the car for himself, Jack Brabham has done just that. Coming down now towards the checkered flag, the man who won the World Championship in 1959 and 60 jumps into the lead of the World Championship 1966 with a score of 21 points over his nearest rival's 10. The result then of the RAC Grand Prix 1966, a tremendous victory for the 3-litre Repco Brabhams of Jack Brabham and Denny Hulme, third Graham Hill BRM, fourth Jim Clark Lotus, and fifth Jochen Rindt Cooper Maserati. A tremendous day at Brands Hatch.